So all we're doing when we're removing these is we're just pulling the hammer down enough to remove the terminals. So most connectors, they secure the pins in generally the same way. They'll either be in the metal connector itself, the little terminal, perhaps a little tab that's bent out, and that'll clip in and then hold the connector secure. And then when you want to remove it, you've got to push something in to straighten up that tab in order for the terminal to come out. Some will have a locking mechanism on top of that to stop that tab from being straightened out on its own. So you have to remove that first and then bend the tab. The main thing is don't yank on this cable while you're trying to lift the hammer. Think of it like trying to open a gate with the lever and you're pushing the door open. It makes it a lot more difficult. You need to have sort of neutral pressure really, lift the hammer and then pull it out. But let's get into it. So I've got a couple of connectors here. These two are very much the same, similar sort of design. And this one is, you see quite a lot of on aftermarket stuff. This is like a 6mm uninsulated crimp terminal on there. So I thought I'd show you that one as well. Got a little pick and I've got a little set of these. It just makes it a little bit easier, but all these are really is just flat bits of metal, different configurations, and there's a couple of round ones on here. If you've got any round pins, they're actually quite easy to do because you can't really get it wrong. You're not searching for the hammer because it's all the way around. In you goes. So let's get this apart, and then the pick is just to get this locking mechanism off. So if we pop that off, set that down, now we can see our terminals. And on this one I know there's a hammer here that we've got to lift up. So if I find one of these that is fairly thick, because if you have a too thin one it'll bend, because what we'll be doing is we're going to be levering this up. Some of these work, you're just pushing it down, but I know on this one we've got to lever it up. So if I grab hold of that red wire and I'm actually pushing it forward, there we go, and pull the lever out. And basically what happens is there's a little hammer sits in here and stops that from coming out. So all we do is we pop this in, lift the hammer up and pull it out, and then putting it back in, that's back in there. And obviously with that on, the hammer's being held down and you can't get anything to do it. So that's that one. This one's kind of the same. You just got to push this down to get this out. And then there's no locking mechanism on this one. It's literally a case of, you can see the hammer right at the front there. So all I've got to do is get this in the tip. I'll get the tip in, lift that hammer up and pull that connection out. And I'll try and show you this going back in. If I pop this in, it goes forward and you hear the click. I'm good to go. So that one's fairly straightforward. No locking tab on that. Right, for this next one I won't be using these. Just need a flat watchmaker screwdriver, something along them lines, because what we've got is the actual tab is in the terminal itself. So if we pull this out, you'll see this little groove here. What we've got to do is get down there and then lever the tab up and then pull the terminal out. But you have to push it forward, because if you're trying to pull it back you can bend the tabs and it actually turns around and then it just destroys the terminal. And if you want to put the same one back in again, makes it virtually impossible. So put this in here, give it a little bit of leverage, and I'm just putting slight pressure with my fingers to hold this thing forward. You should be able to just get that out. And basically this tab here, I flattened that to get it out. So before we put it back in again, we want to get our screwdriver in there. Just give it enough to, there we go. So basically what happens is that goes in, a bit of plastic in the connector block, clips over that, stops it from pulling out. So to put it back in again, we know the slot is where this little tag should live. So that goes in there like that, and you should hear a click. There we go. Straightforward. Just don't force them. With all these connectors, don't force it. Think of it like trying to open a door. If you're pulling it and trying to turn it, it makes it more difficult. So try and take the pressure off the hammer or the little lug that you're removing, and be gentle. Don't go driving in it with a massive screwdriver, because this lot's only plastic and the terminals are only thin metal, and you can see it's quite easy to move, and you should squish them out, you can destroy them. But yeah, take your time. The pins came from this set, just a fairly cheap set off Amazon, but it's got lots of tools for getting trim clips off, pulling cables through, radio removal, they're radio keys, again trim clips and little picks. Yeah, so they're out there, these little sets, and they're not that dear. But I'm going to sacrifice this one. We chop it in half and try and see what's actually going on inside. So this is the inside of it, and basically all that happens is the clip goes in, or the terminal goes in, that little lug compresses and it hits against that stop, stopping it from coming out. So you come in from the other side, squish that down, which enables you to bring it out. Let's cut this one apart, see what this looks like inside, shall we? So this is the slice view. You can just make out the little hammer there. So when we're sliding this in, it pushes the hammer down, and as you go forward it lines up with the slot, clip, in it goes, and that's what stops it from pulling out. So all we're doing when we're removing these is we're just pulling the hammer down enough to remove the terminal. So you don't have to force it, because if you can see how thin that plastic is, it wouldn't take much to totally destroy that. But with that clipped in, if we then get the lock, put the lock on, you can see just how simple this is. And all this does is it wedges the hammer up, so that now this can't come up. The other side's exactly the same, just looks slightly differently, because obviously that's a male terminal. You can see the hammer here. So as that goes in, that's what holds it in, stops it from coming out. So that's the connector. There's our grommets, they keep the water or any moisture from coming down the cable. There's another one there, that's the two separate halves of this connector, and you can see the locks, and all they do is literally wedges that hammer down into this one, and the same again there, wedges that one down into this one, stops that from lifting. There's quite a lot going on in there, really. You don't really realise until you slice the thing open, but that's it. So all you've got to bear in mind is they're very thin, easy to damage. Take your time, don't shove anything too big down there, and you should be good to go.